you have just delivered to the House.
May you kindly refer to the stand.
Mr. Speaker, I do not command any standing orders.
So you may resume your seat then.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, you are the father of this House. And Mr. Speaker, you have communicated to the House a position you've taken. It's been our practice that any time you have come out with a formal communication, you give opportunity to leadership to make a response. Mr. Speaker, if today you do not want me to talk, Mr. Speaker, that should be it. But Mr. Speaker, if you say that...
Honorable member, you got it wrong. It's not the practice of the House that any time I come with a formal communication, I allow members to make comments. That's not the practice of the House. It's never been the practice of any of the houses that I have been member from 1993 to date. I have not had that as any practice of the House. Some speakers, including myself, may entertain some comments from members, but it is not a practice of the House.
Mr. Speaker, if it pleases you, I would like to make some few comments on the matters you've raised. Because, Mr. Speaker, these are very grave matters. The matters you've raised are not light matters. They are very grave matters that I would want to comment. And, Mr. Speaker,
so please, you want to seek my leave to make comments?
That is so, respectfully.
Now you agree it's not the practice.
Mr. Speaker,
you are just seeking my leave.
Mr. Speaker, as it pleases you, with your leave. With your leave.
Well, yes, you may do so.
Mr. Speaker, thank you once again for the leave granted me to comment on your communication you just delivered. Mr. Speaker, you underscored your submissions with a very important point, that the matter that came before us has interpretation reliefs, and that you do not have the power to interpret the Constitution, and that your duty is to enforce. Mr. Speaker.
Honorable member, you are not listening to me.
Mr. Speaker, may I finish with respect?
All what you said are wrong, so I cannot continue to allow you to keep on misleading the House.
Mr. Speaker, please, if you think that this is your House and you didn't want us to talk, so be, Mr. Speaker, we should allow you to speak.
Honorable Majority Leader, you are addressing the Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, you may. Please. I need your protection. They must stop what they are doing.
I'm in charge.
Mr. Speaker, then they may be quiet.
Please.
Mr. Speaker, with respect, in your ruling, my understanding was to the effect that your duty is not to interpret the Constitution. My understanding was to the effect that your duty is not to interpret the Constitution. But, Mr. Speaker, it is important for me to emphasize one more time that when the statement was made by my respected colleague, Dr. Kesel Atufose, I did draw the attention of the House, including your good self, to the fact that the matter being a very grave matter, I have taken it upon myself to seek a court's interpretation of the matter. Mr. Speaker, indeed. Mr. Speaker, I think
Honorable members, please,
Mr. Speaker,
let's listen
I think
to
I
each
deserve
other.
some respect.
Let's listen to each other.
No, I think it is only fair.
Honorable Majority Leader, please address me. I'm taking care of that. Please,
Mr.
let's
Speaker,
listen to each other.
I did indicate that I have filed a process at the Supreme Court. And indeed, Mr. Speaker, the bailiff of the court had attempted to serve the process on the Director of Legal Affairs and the Director of Legal Affairs and the entire legal directorate refused service because, according to them, there was a circular stating that they can only be served on Mondays. I saw the circular myself. Subsequent to that, I, as hearing the intention of Mr. Speaker to come to a determination in one way or the other, directed service, which is within my rights. Mr. Speaker, yesterday, Parliament was duly served.
Honorable Member, please, I didn't want to interrupt you, but you are the majority leader and the leader of this House. As at the time you were directing service yourself, you took the trouble of coming to Parliament with 2 persons who are alleged to be bailiffs and went to the legal office to yourself, directing officials of the legal office to receive the service. You are a member of Parliament. I am the Speaker. It is my duty to protect your privileges and immunities. In doing so, I had a discussion with the Chief Justice, and we came to an understanding that in the meantime, the Chief Justice issued a directive as to how service on members of Parliament, some officers of Parliament, and the Speaker could be effected. I communicated this to the House and discussed it with you, the leaders. We said that as we go along, we will together, Parliament and the judiciary, particularly led by the Supreme Court, come out with a legislation on this issue of privileges and immunities of Parliament, members of Parliament, and specified officials of Parliament. We discussed this. Based on this discussion, the Chief Justice issued a directive to all registries of courts in the country. And it is stated clearly there that the Speaker can be served on Mondays during working hours. There were reasons why we came to those agreements. You are aware of it. Yet you kept on insisting that service be effected whilst the Speaker was presiding over the proceedings of the House. You, as leader of the House, as majority leader, you are saying that this was service because you threw the court processes on the table and walked away? Is that how you effect service? Please, to quote the common parlance, don't go there.
With respect, for the past 12 years, I have accorded you every respect, and I'll continue to do that. Mr. Speaker, the facts you put out are not true. Mr. Speaker, these are credibility issues, so I will respond for the record. Mr. Speaker, somebody has told you something. Mr. Speaker, you reserve the right to be there to make your point. Let me make my point too. Mr. Speaker, no way. Mr. Speaker, no way. Mr. Speaker, whoever told you, Mr. Speaker, whoever told you that I threw a paper at somebody, this has to do with my credibility. I will not allow hands.
Honorable Member, you don't listen at all.
Mr. Speaker, I do.
I never said you.
Mr. Speaker, you said.
I never said you threw a paper at anybody.
Mr. Speaker.
I never said that.
That's exactly what you said. Let the answer check it. Mr. Speaker, that is what you said.
You are being carried away by your
Mr.
anger.
Speaker,
You are not listening.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not angry.
Honorable Member. Honorable Member.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not angry.
I said the court process was thrown on the table in the office. I never stated it was thrown by you at any person.
Mr. Speaker, you said I allegedly said some bailiffs. Alleged bailiffs.
No.
Mr. Speaker, then clarify. Mr.
Please.
Speaker, Mr. Speaker, with
listen to me.
Mr. Speaker, listen.
Honorable Majority Leader, I don't want to proceed to make some orders. Please, resume your seat. I'm very serious about that.
Mr. Speaker,
please, resume your seat. Honorable member, your
coming events cast their shadows. We have Parliament now, elect with the executive.
Honorable members, please kindly resume your seats. Minority Leader.
Right Honorable Speaker. The Speaker, first, let me start by expressing our profound gratitude for your erudite ruling on this very important matter of national interest. The Speaker, you have indeed done what is right for the people of Ghana by sticking to the tenets of Ghana's Constitution, our standing order, and time-tested precedents being a case law for this House. The Speaker, permit me to congratulate the NDC Majority Caucus for standing firm from day one, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable member, just a moment. I can see a cluster of some members at one corner of the chamber. Please, honorable members, either you resume your seats or you move out of the chamber of Parliament. Please, honorable members, can you hear me? Please, Marshal, kindly perform your duty.
Very, very, very interesting developments coming in there from the House of Parliament right now. There's a breaking news story, and of course, as it's just come to your notice and attention right now, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Sumana Bagbin, has declared 4 seats vacant, 1 for the National Democratic Congress and 3 for the New Patriotic Party. This automatically makes the NDC the majority side of Parliament right now. This heated debate in the House of Parliament just gone by. You saw Afenyo Markins, who represents the NPP side of Parliament, arguing very fiercely against the Speaker's decision. And just before we came here into studio, you were hearing the NDC leader also expressing his profound delight about the Speaker's ruling. Let's go back to Parliament right now. Ato Forson, who represents the NDC side, is on the floor making his point.
On our responsibilities to work for the people of Ghana. Today is the beginning of the process to reset Ghana. The Speaker, our country has gone through a lot. We have always made our point, but unfortunately we've not been able to succeed because we're not having the working majority. But now we have the working majority. Right, Honorable Speaker, beginning the next parliamentary sitting, we'll begin the process to take over as the majority caucus of this parliament. And we thank you for the opportunity. The Speaker, we have taken note of the fact that our colleagues, the minority caucus, the new minority caucus, have just walked out. But that will not stop us from doing what is right for the people of Ghana. We will do what is right. But their conduct exactly reflects the work of a minority of the Speaker. We thank you very much for this ruling. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, yes, Chief Whip.
Mr. Speaker, unless you have any further information, I will move for the House to be adjourned till Tuesday next week, Mr. Speaker. I so move.
Honorable members, at least we need to take the correction of votes and proceedings and official reports. We need to take that. Honorable members, item 5 on the order paper, correction of votes and proceedings and official reports. We will start with the correction of votes and proceedings of Wednesday, 16th October 2024, page 1.
Right, welcome back to our breaking news story. If you just joined us, this is TV3. The breaking news story coming in there from the House of Parliament suggests that the Speaker of Parliament has declared 4 seats vacant, 1 for the National Democratic Congress and 3 for the New Patriotic Party. This automatically makes the NDC side the new majority side in Parliament. There was heated debate in the House of Parliament. The then leader of the NPP, who was the majority leader, Alexander Afenyo Markins, as you can see there, got extremely angry about the Speaker's ruling and subsequently has asked his colleagues to walk out with him. The NDC side, led by Ato Forson, is extremely delighted about this latest ruling, and they were hopeful that in the coming days they will assume their position as a new majority side in Parliament. Interesting developments coming in here. We really need to know what you make of this very latest development. Let me hop on the phone line to try and speak to Martin Pebu, who's a legal practitioner. He's been following this issue quite keenly. Martin, were you expecting this?
Yes, absolutely. I didn't expect any other result, of course, but we know that practically it could have gone the other way. But your key word is, did I expect this? And I said, sure, because reading Article 97, I didn't see how a reasoned opinion will go in a different direction, because the key point is that you're on the ticket of one party. If you seek or you are an independent, the moment you cease to be independent or you go to join another party, I think that it's caught within the spirit of Article 97. So when I heard arguments like, oh, no, those parliamentarians who have joined let's use the MPP one. So those who are independent and then have joined the MPP, so I'm Mwakwe Siama, or those who are MPP and have gone independent, have not crossed the carpet. This is new. They are talking about a future parliament. I was surprised. I was like, what kind of arguments are these? The moment the person has joined a political party that he wasn't a part of, you can expect that for the rest of this parliament, he'll be working with them. As soon as, once he has filed on the ticket, so let's use an example. Mwakwe Siama came in as an independent, right? So now he decides to join the MPP. Even though it's filing for the next election, you can even imagine, the kind of back and forth, the kind of negotiations that went on behind the scenes before he joined the MPP. And so you can expect that if they are doing any business in Parliament, he will join in, right? So for me, what the Speaker has done is the right thing, which is that, listen, once you've changed your colors, the seat be declared vacant.
But there were some, Mr. Pegbu, who argue that these people do not represent themselves. They represent thousands of people. And so it was incumbent on Parliament to hear them out, to listen to them on whether or not they indeed were defecting from their political parties, and not to make a hasty decision, a decision that could affect hundreds or millions of people.
Now, so the people have a remedy against these persons. Remember, it's a democracy. They should have known the credibility of the persons they are choosing, just like the way we made a mistake with President Kufuor. We voted for him, and we've been stuck with him for how many years now? This last 4 years, and we've seen the bad governance. So that's the price we are paying for not doing due diligence on our leaders. That's the price we pay when we do identity politics. I'm voting for this man because he speaks my language. So I don't really think that argument should hold sway. Once it means that your remedy is to check who you are voting for. Is the person a person of integrity? I'm sure right now it's clear to us that henceforth we will look beyond just promises. Henceforth we will look just beyond just words, to look for tangible evidence of integrity in choosing MPs and then the president for that matter.
So what do you think is going to happen? We know the majority leader, Afenyo Markins, had gone to the Supreme Court to seek to enjoin the Speaker from making this very ruling. Why did the Speaker have to ignore this?
You get that indication from the recent Supreme Court decision, so you look at Bernard Ahiafo versus Attorney General, then you come to the current cases before the Supreme Court. You have the Richard Sky and then Amanda Kofi cases. In all of them, you see that the Supreme Court is showing that when something is before Parliament, Parliament is in the process of taking any decision. The Supreme Court says, no, we are not stepping in to injunct the Parliament. So because of that, it's beginning to appear that the Supreme Court has carved out a special rule for Parliament. Yes, and I can imagine, because there are three coordinate bodies. Parliament, even some will tell you that Parliament is a more direct representation of the people than the Supreme Court, because the parliamentarians are voted for directly by the people. So in some jurisdictions, you read the jurisprudence, they will tell you that no, Parliament is stronger. But for us, in our constitution, they say the three arms are equal: executive, legislative, then the judiciary, they are equal. So if that is so, the judiciary doesn't want to be injuncting Parliament like that. So if you look at the 3 decisions that I've just mentioned, where the Supreme Court refused to injunct Parliament, then that is the reason the Speaker went ahead, knowing that the Supreme Court is not in the business of lightly injuncting a coordinate arm of government, because the Parliament has to be given the free hand to take its decisions. When Parliament is done taking the decision, if anybody thinks that is contrary to law, then the person can then initiate an action in the Supreme Court or any other appropriate forum. So this is what we call precedent. So we advise and give opinions based upon those precedents. That's cases that have come and gone and the way the courts have dealt with those cases.
Martin, I'm going to ask you to hold on to me. Abraham Amaliba has also joined me on the other line. Mr. Amaliba, you must be really excited about this very latest ruling, making you the majority side in Parliament right now.
The democracy that we are practicing, and there couldn't have been any other ruling but this particular one. Because you know what? The people who are affected, the members of Parliament who are affected, are people who have deserted their political base and now decided to go independent. The political base that brought them to Parliament, they have deserted them. And so if you desert the vehicle that brought you to Parliament, clearly Article 97 says that they must declare your seat vacant. Those who are saying that their decision to join a political party is futuristic, and for that matter, what is the name? The speaker shouldn't have declared a seat vacant. If you told that line, what you are doing is that then that provision becomes useless. And the speaker has indicated that if we accept that argument, then nobody will be crossing carpet. And I agree with him.
So I'm just wondering, what are you going to advise your majority side to do at this time? Of course, you clearly see that the NPP side is not happy with this. They have just walked out of Parliament. What are you going to advise your party to be doing at this time?
They should prepare and take over as majority. And this is what the party has always been clamoring for. You even know that by some of the use of the military to confiscate some of our seats. In fact, in this Parliament, we have been the majority. So, under this circumstance, what they can do is to start preparing to become the majority and start doing work as majority.
All right, hold on for me. Let me go back to Martin Pebu at this point. Martin, I'm going to wrap up with you. At this point that the Speaker has made this ruling, is there any other leeway for the NPP side led by Afenyo Markins? What do they have to do next? Do they have any leeway legally, to challenge this very latest ruling?
The leeway is for them to go to court, that they can choose to sue in a court of law. But, time is not on their side. Then I can imagine that they would have to also apply for the Supreme Court to hear the case expeditiously. Because right now, practically, now that NDC are the majority, can you imagine how it works out? It means that government has to pass its business through NDC, because it's the majority leader that would push government business, and now that majority, the MPP are majority, it means that they would have to now work through the NDC. And that's if they want to be reasonable, that shouldn't be a challenge. But where they want to stick to their guns that the members who the members who preach the constitution did nothing wrong, then that's where it would be a big problem. But if they accept, they eat humble pie and accept the Speaker's ruling that those seats have been declared vacant, then they can work with the NDC. After all, it's just about 52 days to the election. Yes? Yes, so a month and then 3 weeks. So, but let's say all in all about 3 months to the next parliament. Yes. So they can choose to work with the NDC or they can choose to fight it in court. But it will take a while to get a court decision on it.
All right, thank you very much, Martin Pebu, for your reactions to this very latest breaking news story. If you just joined us, news coming in from Parliament is that the Speaker of Parliament has declared 4 seats vacant, 1 for the NDC and 3 for the NPP. This automatically makes the NDC the majority side in Parliament. Let's go live to Parliament now and take some reactions from both sides.
Any plenaries, I will invite the majority leader, still majority leader, to address you on the communication that just came from the speaker. So may we listen to the majority leader.
All right, so we've just witnessed a conspiracy between the speaker and the minority to bring confusion in the House. It is clear that Mr. Speaker avoided service of the writ to do the bidding of the NDC. It's so clear, but we believe in the law. We, as the majority caucus, immediately are boycotting Parliament until this matter is determined by the Supreme Court. The Speaker has no right to interpret the Constitution, and it is so clear that what he did was to give advantage to the NDC and do the bidding of the NDC. We are not going to go further to litigate. We have a process at the court. We'll follow it up. If the court makes a pronouncement, we'll respect the orders of the court. But because we believe that the issues we have raised are issues for interpretation. Thank you very much.
Let's go live to the phone lines now and speak to Dominic Ayine, a lawyer and also a legal member of the NDC team. Mr. Ayine, you are in Parliament right now. You've had Apenyo Markin and his allegation about conspiracy between yourselves and the Speaker of Parliament. How do you react to this?
Well, I do respect the views of the former majority leader. He's a senior colleague of mine in Parliament. And he leads an important caucus. That is now the minority caucus of Parliament. The issue that he has raised, I think that it is unfair for him to say that Mr. Speaker gave this ruling in order just to give an advantage to the NDC side. There were issues of public interest that were raised by the former minority leader, now the majority leader, the Honorable Atuforsen. And basically, he brought to the attention of the House the fact that certain members of the House, including one person from the NDC, had violated Article 97 G and H of the Constitution. And therefore, he wanted Mr. Speaker to take action in accordance with the Constitution and the standing orders of Parliament. And he invited Mr. Speaker to do this, drawing Mr. Speaker's attention to an existing precedent where the Right Honourable Michael Quay ruled that the Formina MP, who had declared his intention to run independent and had been so reported by the NPP General Secretary to the House, had vacated his seat within the context of the meaning of Article 97 of the Constitution. So, Right Honourable Speaker allowed members to make comments. I was one of the senior lawyers who argued in favor of adherence to the Okwe precedent, and then the fact that the actions of the 4 members must have instantaneous consequences to make sense. Those who argue that there must be, the consequences are futuristic, and that it contemplates a situation where your you have expressed an intention to run on the ticket of another party or to run as an independent in the future, and therefore it will not have any consequence now. Okay, so read carefully the decision of Mr. Speaker today. Because
so you do reckon that this could happen to you again in the next 4 years? It could affect your side of the house.
I don't understand the question.
You mean you reckon that this could happen to your side of the house in 4 years' time or 8 years' time, and you're ready to face the consequences then?
Well, of course. I mean, that's a political decision that we'll make when we get to that bridge. We will cross it.
But how do you also react to...
No, but adherence... No, please. Adherence to the letter and spirit of the Constitution is very important. It doesn't matter whether it is happening to the MP. It happened to the MPP yesterday, and it is happening to them today, and may happen to the NDC tomorrow. That doesn't matter. What matters is for us to adhere to the spirit of the Constitution. Okay, we gave to ourselves this Constitution to guide us in the conduct of our politics. Okay, we cannot now turn back on the letter and spirit of the Constitution just for political convenience. So for me, if it happens that in future a number of MPs on our side decide that they are going independent, that the speaker at the time should declare their seats vacant.
How do you react also to Afenyo's viewpoint that the Speaker of Parliament does not and is not vested with the powers to interpret the Constitution?
You see, constitutional interpretation arises where there is an actual controversy, where different meanings are being accorded to phrases and expressions and words in the Constitution by different parties. All right, in a manner that gives rise to an actual controversy. What we asked the Speaker to do was basically to inform the House that the factual circumstances merited the invocation of Article 97 of the Constitution. We never asked the Speaker to interpret the Constitution. There is no ambiguity. There is no, lack of clarity in what the Constitution says. So I do not understand what he means by an interpretation of the Constitution. In any case, he filed this action even before Mr. Speaker gave his ruling, even before a decision was taken. All right, and you remember when we had the debate after the Honorable Atu Forsen made his statement, I pointed out that there's a suit in anticipation of an act or omission. It's basically an invitation to the Supreme Court to give an advisory opinion. And you cannot say that now, ex post facto, certain factors have occurred, and therefore the Supreme Court should take judicial notice of those factors in order to come to a decision. What the Supreme Court will take account of is what you stated, the fact that you stated in your statement of case, verified by an affidavit in verification. So was the plaintiff in the case, okay, swearing to, facts in verification of future occurrence of something in Parliament. It is my imagination as a lawyer for him to say that there is an arguable case before the Supreme Court to interpret Article 97 of the Constitution. Right. But of course, we have to wait to hear what the Supreme Court has to say on this matter.
Right, Mr. I've got to say a big thank you to you. Thanks for joining us here on our breaking news story segment here tonight. There's more on the story on News 360. You've got to stay tuned in at 7 p.m. for News 360. The breaking news story is that the Speaker of Parliament has declared 4 seats vacant, 1 on the side of the NDC and 3 on the side of the NPP. This automatically makes the NDC the new majority side. They are extremely elated, happy and excited about the Speaker's ruling. The NPP side, led by Afenyo Markin, however, are disgusted about this ruling. Afenyo Markin is alleging a conspiracy between the Speaker and the NDC side of the House. There's more on this, all the legalities, many more reactions coming up later on News 360.